Welcome, everyone, to the first of two piano department masterclasses that are taking place at the Hunter College Music Department this fall. I am Professor Jeffrey Burleson, Director of Piano Studies at Hunter, and very pleased to welcome you all here. Today's guest is the fabulously brilliant Professor Stephen Mayer, who is professor of piano at the University of Denver in Colorado. I've known Steve for quite a while. He has visited Hunter several times as guest artist faculty or as principal artist faculty at the International Keyboard Institute and Festival that was held at Hunter for 6 years, the past 6 years, and have had the, great pleasure of hearing him perform astounding virtuosic feats. Steve is one of the most fearless virtuosi that I know pianistically, not just in standard virtuoso fare that one would associate, say, with Franz Liszt and so forth, but also with transcriptions of the most virtuosic jazz piano solos out there by the likes of Art Tatum, Jelly Roll Morton, James P. Johnson, and Fats Waller. He's quite well known for this. Professor Mayer is the winner of the Grand Prix du Disque list for his ASV recording of the Liszt piano concertos with the London Symphony Orchestra. He's also performed with the Leipzig Gewandhaus, the Prague Symphony, the San Francisco Symphony, the Rotterdam Philharmonic, and the Boston Pops, just to name a few. And before becoming professor of piano at University of Denver, Professor Mayer was professor of piano at the Manhattan School of Music for quite a number of years. A great welcome to Professor Stephen Mayer. Professor Mayer, please say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you here, Jeffrey. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again, even across time zones and climates and so forth. It's great to finally reconvene.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have two wonderful performers today. First, Shang Liang will be performing Rachmaninoff's Prelude in G minor, Opus 23, number 5, on his home digital piano. We are using whatever instruments we happen to have at home, but Shang does remarkable things with his instrument, which is not bad. And then Karen Fukumi will be performing the first two movements from Stravinsky's three movements from Petrushka, the solo piano version, obviously. So without further ado, I would love to invite Sheng to turn on his camera and sound and perform for us. Hello, Sheng.
Hi, Professor.
Hey.
All right, so have fun and enjoy. We're very much looking forward. All right. Bravo, Shang. Beautiful performance.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, great. Yeah. Bravo, especially under these circumstances, to play such a work. And may I ask you what kind of keyboard you're working on there?
I'm working with the Yamaha digital keyboard. Yeah.
Great. Okay. It sounds like a very good one. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I like the performance very much. I can imagine if we could only put you on a Steinway 9-foot piano, how great it would be. Uh, so part of what I'm going to say is just going to be kind of about our imaginations and our fantasies of a slightly enlarged musical space. Yeah, but you're doing wonderfully for what you're doing there. Um, I would like to. It's complicated doing it, of course, over Zoom, but I guess we've all been doing this now for 8 months, so we have to make do with it. I'd
Mhm.
like to talk a little bit about the physical aspects, despite the fact that I can't be right here with you to come right over to the piano and have my hand be 6 inches from yours, etc. But I would like to talk about them because you play beautifully, and I have a certain kind of technique that I use at the piano, which is not what everybody uses. But when it comes to jumps and when it comes to chords and octaves and moving around quickly, um, the word that comes to mind that I find myself using with students a lot is radar, and how one develops and improves one's radar. And what I've actually found, not just from my own experience of playing, but from looking at in our YouTube age, watching great pianists play, is how when one watches something that really is just excellent with regards to the physicality, one is aware of no effort, and one is sort of like watching a fish swim in water, a beautiful sort of choreography that takes place without any effort. Um, it's particularly hard, I find, on keyboards because there's something about the action of keyboards. It's a light action. It's not a deep action, and there's a way in which everything is sort of every little imperfection is magnified in a kind of um, way, and you can actually not accumulate a sonority, a sound that kind of covers for you, that makes a general kind of orchestral feel. It's so individual. Every single thing is taking place right at the second that you touch it. So part of this is going to be the fantasy that you're on the 9-foot piano in Carnegie Hall, and I know that were that the case, it would be great. Um, what I find that I do is I pre-prepare a lot when I practice chords, and um, let's say I'm going to play, or I will always get over what I play silently before I play it. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your practice techniques for jumps, for chords, for octaves, with regards to this technique. I remember the experience of when I was closer to your age. I was living in Amsterdam, in Holland, and I decided in preparation for this recording I was making of Liszt concertos with the London Symphony that I would play for somebody who had a completely different idea of how to play the piano than myself, just to kind of get some interesting perspectives on it. And he said the exact opposite to me after watching me play. He said, "You're so practiced, you're so uh, kind of rehearsed in the way you get ready for things. Why don't you just let it go? Why don't you just let the octaves fly?" and take your chances with it, and you'll play faster and it will be more brilliant. And I tried it for a little while, but for me, I think I had worked so long the other way that it didn't really work. So, as an experimentation, why don't we sort of try a little bit of what I'm talking about? But before you play, just tell me if you can relate to what I'm talking about with the whole concept of the radar. This kind of thing, getting over something before you even play it in your rehearsal techniques. Do you ever find that you practice this way?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think so. So usually, the technique I talk to my professor Burleson is now, okay, I'm gonna do this one first, and then wait, and then and do the first course like this, and then wait when I prepare and then I play the next course, something like that. Because I have a very technical challenging at the second thing like this one. Yeah.
So I'm not totally understanding what you're saying. Are you saying that you find that you do play this way? For instance,
Yes, I'm practicing like this way sometimes. Yeah,
like,
because I have a trouble finding the notes when I make a big jump.
so you like to get ready first, or
Yeah.
do you like the feeling of just taking the chance and jumping?
Oh, actually, for my own practice, I like the feeling of just jumping over there.
Right.
But also, I will take the advice from a professor person to do this thing because I have a trouble to finding the note. I have a trouble of the accuracy of the finding the note. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, well let's just kind of experiment a little bit with this idea. So this is what I want to do here. Let's take this passage because it's a good example. I'd like you to leave some time before you play where you are silently touching
touching it, right?
notes. Yeah, you can even be touching the notes. I think you need to be touching the notes so that you feel all the notes, but you're not playing them. You just feel very comfortable with the exact precise shape of the hand at the notes you're going to be playing in a second. But you don't play them. So it's Right, Chang. Yeah, that was excellent.
Mhm.
One pointer, one thing I think we can do even better with. I noticed that you did this with your right hand. Look at the difference between the right hand and the left hand
Mhm.
as I try to imitate you.
Oh, I
It's
withdraw
true.
that man.
I think you probably are right-handed. Is that true?
Yes.
You use your
Yes,
right
I'm right-handed.
hand for eating. Yeah. Okay. I've noticed that when we're right-handed, which is the case with most people, um, we feel freer with our movements,
Yes, yes.
and we sometimes do things like this, where we play that kind of thing. But with the left hand, we don't usually do it. We don't sometimes, but not so often.
Mm.
So let's see if we can keep economy of motion. Keep your right hand and your left hand exactly over the notes that you're going to play,
Mm.
and don't come out from the keys between the
Mm.
movements. Move laterally, sideways like this. Not, but
Get it, get it.
try again.
Mhm.
What? Yeah, before we get to that one, yeah, I just want to say that that looks better. I also wonder if as I watch you play,
Mm-hmm.
your hand is not so big. It's a good sized hand for the piano,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you could extend your fingers and lower your wrist a little bit.
No worries.
Yeah, but especially important extending the fingers. To me, it looks a little like this rather than this
Mm.
position, a little more than this position. So let's try extending the
Mm.
fingers a little bit out. Yeah, you know, some of it is the height that you sit.
Yeah, I think maybe
I feel
the
like
problem
you're
like
sitting very high. That you're. Have you thought about exactly how high you're sitting in relation to the keyboard you're playing right now?
really.
Well, do you feel
Oh
like you're high, or do you feel, is this how you sit at the piano?
no, I'm not sure. I never think about it because I get used this bench.
So if you sit a little lower, I'm not saying you have to do it, but if you sit a little lower, it is easier to extend the fingers when you play,
Oh.
right? I mean, sometimes it goes too far, right? When you watch Glenn Gould play the piano, he sits under the piano and the fingers are very straight. But when you are very high above a piano like this,
Mm-hmm.
you can't really extend the fingers, right? Because the position is not parallel to the piano. You're like this. I
Yeah.
think, you know what you could do? You don't have to change the chair. You can bend down a little bit to make your height lower. Yeah, good. Just for now, that's good. Now try the same passage and keep your fingers, Shang, keep them out as much as you can straight, just to experiment, but keep the movement we talked about, the very fast movement.
Mm-hmm.
Good, good.
Ah.
Good, good. Yeah, much better. Yeah. Now,
Mm-hmm.
of course, we both know that when you actually get on a piano, the
But
sound,
I have a question though.
yes,
So, if I extend my hand, so I feel that it's hard to play a little bit, here, the texture here is the dynamic is forte. So I feel like if I extend it, it's hard to, use my string to play it loud.
there are different ways of making the sound. I was going to say we have to be a little bit in the realm of fantasy now, right? Because
Mhm.
we don't have the real piano at our disposal here.
Mhm.
But there are very different ways of making sound. You can make a sound like this. You can make a sound like this also. I believe that if you pull a little bit more,
Mhm.
not push, that you can control how fast your fingers go down and play less aggressively on a real piano. I'm not sure this is a distinction we can make very well with a keyboard. Maybe
Mhm.
a little bit, but it's quite evident on a piano that you can play something like a, or you can play, and it's a very different sound for the audience
Mhm.
because when you push in, you have a very strong attack. It's very clear, but
Mhm.
the sound dies away a little faster also.
Got it.
So in the first teaching that I had, I was lucky enough when I was at Juilliard to study with Sasha Gordonitsky, who had been a student of Joseph Levine. And there was a very specific technique for Russian music particularly, but also for Chopin, of pulling so that you would lower the fingers on the key a little slower and you would get a longer tone. It would not die away as fast. And the sound was a little fuller, maybe not quite so clear. I'm encouraging that also, but like I said, what I'm doing is I'm imagining a little bit how we would be on a piano together, but I'm watching very carefully. I can see you well, and I'm sure you have the same experience. Sometimes when you watch a pianist, you
Mhm.
feel like you can hear it. You know, if you're looking through glass or something, it's in another room, but you're looking, you almost feel like you hear the sound
Mhm.
because there is a really strong connection when we spend our whole lives at the keyboard between what we see and what we hear. We reproduce sounds, after a while that look a certain kind of a way. So I'm experimenting with you now to talk a little bit about this pulling technique with the
Mhm.
longer fingers, as well as the radar technique of getting over them. Uh, I think you will do best to bend down a little bit. Let's go to the beginning of the piece again, and let's go slowly. And what I'd like you to try to do is bend down a little bit if you don't want to use a lower chair, straighten the fingers out a little bit,
Mhm.
and get over the notes as fast as you can. Now, we're going to have to go slow to do it, but I would advise something like this. Taking little bits of time
Mhm.
and bending down so that you can have this position a little bit more. Let's just try it slowly. I want to watch the hands.
Yes. Okay. Up.
Yeah, Shane?
I think it's very hard when I didn't do this practice, when I play the score and then immediately prepare this one. I never did this practice before. Yeah, it's very hard for me. Well, I feel it, but I think it's very helpful though. Yeah.
Well, it is hard.
Yeah, it's hard because I never practice
But
like this way. Yeah.
yeah, Shane, I love your personality. You have this great enthusiasm and everything. I think you also, I can tell, you're a person who you get bored very easily. I can see that about you. Yeah. This is very boring, Shane. I have to warn you. It's very boring to do experiments with changes of technique.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like when you practice running, if you put some weights on your body
Mm-hmm.
and you run slower and then you take the weights off, you run very fast. So I'm making life a little bit hard for you now. I'm trying to do something that seems a little awkward, but I think that it can help you.
Mm-hmm.
These two aspects I think can help a lot. Now let's move to the next page because this is an interesting passage here. This one here. When we play chords and octaves, the sensation that we like to have is that we're playing single notes, right? We like
Mm-hmm.
to feel like it's very simple to play the scale, right? We just want to feel like we're walking. Yeah. the best way to do that, I think, is for you to stay very close and keep this hand position that we're talking about, and just kind of walk from one octave to another. Don't come up from the keys at all, but rather than, that would be more clear, but it slows you down and you're not getting the legato that way either that he's writing here. Let's try that, staying very close to the keys, almost like walking. Right. Okay. So you're using the fourth finger in your octaves. You're using
Yeah.
4 on the E flat and the 4 on the B flat, right?
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
using 5 on the other ones.
Yes.
I think that's fine, but I'm going to ask you as part of this experiment if you would just play with a 5th finger in your octaves here, because it will encourage you to kind of have this close technique. Try it just with a 5th finger on the top.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Now, Shane, do this for me. Play it the other way with the 4 that you did before.
Okay. Hey, all of them use the finger 4 1 4.
Use the fingering that you were using.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear. Okay, this is what I heard, Shane. But why did I hear that? I tell you why I heard it, because your 4th finger is stronger than your 5th finger. So it naturally played the E flat louder than the D and the C that preceded it. So it's very natural that you would play. Now that's fine if that is what you want us to hear, but I don't think necessarily it's what he had in mind. If you look at the phrase, it's right? 4 notes, and then the accent comes after it. Not. So one of the good things about using 5s on octaves is that you force yourself to have the same tone naturally on the top notes. And even though it's more awkward, because of course it feels good to play legato between 4 and 5, tonally it is superior. You have a more even sound, and then you make the difference in the tone, if you want to, with your arm weight, not just because your fingers are shaped differently. So one of the experiments we can add, we're talking about experiments here, is for you to play all the octaves and chords, but usually the octaves, with 5 in this piece for a little while, and see if you don't get a more even melody tone on your octaves. Okay?
Get it.
I know it sounds like a lot of work, but I think you have all the time to do it now. It's good actually that we're kind of removed from life. We can do better practicing. I think it would be very good for you to do that. Now, let's try it slowly one time. Now, this is a case of where you would not do it because you have a single note followed by an octave note and a chord. Right. That one, 4 5 4 5, is natural, right? I think because it's a different configuration. and the same with the following one, but we still have the other one here. When you actually just see an octave, try playing the 5. You can use the 4 for the other ones. Let's go slowly from here. Right.
Sorry.
Good. Stop for a second. Very good. Very good. I want to encourage you also, let's add one more technique to all of this. When possible, don't touch the sides of the other notes that you're playing. That's hard when you don't have a large hand, but it gives a very precise placement of each finger. And specifically, when you have a passage like this, try playing very cleanly and legato if you can, and don't touch the upper note or the lower note as you play. Make it very precise in your movements. Let's try just this. Let me just see your right hand.
Is it like this?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
You need to do more work for precision in your placement of the chords. I'm sure you can play this piece 100%. You have the ability. You need to be a little more careful with the precision, not just placing before you play, but when there isn't time, only moving the position to the exact place of the note, not kind of shooting a little further from the note. Are you doing this hand separately? I would encourage you to do these passages hand separately. Let me see you do just the right hand, these passages. Just your right hand. Good. Good.
Oh, here is finger 5, right?
Right. Okay. So that the little that was very good, Shang, but the little mistake at the end, right, was because you weren't preparing for that chord before you played it. So let's try again. Just that. Very good. Yeah. Maybe that's also a fingering issue too. Fingerings are very important for making perfect performances, right? Not just for memory, but also for technique. Are you using 4 on the last chord every time you play it? I assume you're using 4 here.
Yeah, yes, I'm using 4, definitely. Yeah.
So Make sure you're very precise in your placement. You can also do the tops, right? One of the ways to practice octaves is to just do pinky fingers, right? You can practice octaves just on the outer fingers when you have lots of them, because the thumbs are quite easy, right? We always see our thumbs, they're right in front of our eyes, they're in the center of the keyboard. The problem is the outer notes. The fingers are not as strong, and also we don't see them very easily. So it's hard. You need to practice them separately. You can also just balance the chords to the top when you practice them. You can play using more pressure on the top finger. Let's say we're using 5, than you do in the thumb. If I did it with the thumb more, it would be like this, right?
Yeah.
Not as clear, not as beautiful a balance, but you have there the advantage of 2 octaves apart, right? You have that open sound of the 2 octaves is more beautiful on the piano than when you just have 1 octave apart. So there are many reasons why tops and bottoms are very important, which is another aspect that I could talk about with you. And when you play especially Russian music, many, many notes, you need to take the outer notes for our ears and make the inner ones less loud so that the balance is more beautiful. But again, this is hard with a keyboard. Uh, let's play the slow section one more time. Could you play for me from
Just wanted to note that we'll need to move on in about 5 minutes to our second
yes,
performer.
5 minutes. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, sure.
Very good. Very good. I enjoyed it very much. I want to, as an experiment again, just have you bring out your middle voice so strongly on the return that we even hardly hear the other voices. It's one of the fun things about this piece is that you can really kind of play tricks on our ears so we think you have 3 hands, right? That's what he enjoyed doing in the kind of style that Rachmaninoff used when he played the piano, or the people from his time, like Joseph Hoffman. They played in this way where you bring out the middle voices like it's another person playing. I think it would be interesting for you to try just one time. And make all the other voices very soft, but bring it out like it's a new voice coming in much more full. Let's just try the second time. You
Okay,
can.
let's see whether I can do it.
Yes, okay, you're batting about 500. I think you can bat 1,000. Really, that's an expression from baseball. Half of those notes are coming out very well, but let's just play one time the notes with one finger or with one hand. I'm doing it for you now. Listen. Just play those notes one time. Great. Okay. Now you have it in your ears. Do it with all the other notes. I know that you can do it.
Let me try.
Low.
I play really slowly. Yeah.
Yes, good. Very good. Okay, it's not easy to do. Remember this idea, this piece, and also in Russian music in general, that you want to balance voices so that it is very beautiful for the person listening. You
Get it.
cannot play equal. And this is a very famous passage in a piece where you have a chance to show everybody that you can give the illusion of three hands, right? A middle hand and then the outer hands. And then in this case, the middle hand is dominating. It's like a beautiful new sound that's coming in between the harmony and the melody. Good. Okay. Well, good luck, and I enjoyed hearing you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shang, and thank you, Professor Mayer, for your extremely illuminating comments here. That was really very stimulating. All right, so on from one Russian to another Russian, this time Stravinsky, and we have Karen Fukumi playing the first two movements from Stravinsky's three movements from Petrushka. And so Karen should be setting back up any moment now. There she is. Her camera is on. And Karen is performing this in her degree recital, her MA recital, fairly shortly. So are you ready, Karen?
Yes.
Okay, let's have some fun. right, brava, brava, Karen. Beautiful, very impressive.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Yeah. I I think that you play it brilliantly and you characterize the different elements very well. They stood out to me in terms of the contrasts between the sections, and the characters in the ballet were clear, I thought. Uh, that's particularly a challenge in the second movement where you have the three main characters, right? You know the uh, the story, and you saw the ballet probably and watched, you know, um, the ballerina, the Moor, and Petrushka. Uh, One of the differences between Stravinsky and some other composers who wrote, let's say, Russian virtuoso music, is that Stravinsky was kind of like a mathematician in how precise he was in the way he wrote. Uh, and he spoke about that a lot in his writings also. He was really kind of a genius when it came to proportions and relationships between rhythms and harmonies. That was one of the reasons that he influenced so many people. He really was kind of the bridge between the 19th century and the 20th century. And these first great three works, The Firebird, Petrushka, uh, they, and The Rite of Spring, of course, uh, changed the whole musical world. But I think where you could add to your very good performance is in the precision in some cases, particularly in the second movement, of exactly what he wrote, because he did figure out the proportions very carefully. Uh, the the Danse Russe was fine. It was very good. We can talk a little bit about some elements uh, of balance and maybe a few technical things that we could talk about as well. But let's start by talking about Chez Petrushka a little bit. And I would like if you would imagine that you were the conductor conducting the orchestra in the piece, so that we have a very precise counting as we go along, the differences between the eighth notes and the 16th notes, the triplets, the 30 seconds. There's every note value on the first page, right? There are many details of those. I think it will become more, let's just say, a kind of a deeper performance that one could hear over and over again, because these proportions are very well thought out by Stravinsky. So let's choose a slow tempo or a slower tempo and try to play it exactly in time. That's actually what he wrote. Can we do it once, very in time this way, at this tempo? Okay, that was a little too soon. Da 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 da. Dum bum ba. One, two, three. One more time. I'm going to, every quarter note, I'm going to clap. That, yeah, that was pretty close. Right. You were a little bit behind on. So usually I don't like to use metronome. I don't think it's helpful. It only makes corrections, but it doesn't give rhythm. But in this particular case, if you can kind of imagine that there really was something there. So I think you get the idea, right? Let's just try to keep a very steady pulse and make sure that you're precise. Okay, now let's do the same thing with the molto meno. And remember, that would be exactly half as fast, right? So if we have it would be 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right. Now that's too slow, but that is the right proportion. Those were the exact rhythm. So let's do, I'm going to count for you in the molto meno and conduct at this tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. 2, 1. One, two, yes. 1, boom, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, good. Okay. I want you to go through it like this for yourself. We don't have to continue this right now, but this is a very important element of this piece. You know, even if you don't see the ballet and you don't know the story, it's a great piece. Not just because the ideas are so brilliant and the melodies and the piano writing, all of that is great, but it's also very logical and very perfectly worked out. So let's go here. You play. That was almost perfect, I thought. You were really just right there. Just one detail that is important here. This last F is held a little bit longer before you start. So why don't you play from here? Karen, you're very fast with this stuff. It's great. I think you probably are good at math. Make sure that you do this same kind of work because this is much more balanced. Now, I want to just talk about you. As I said, I thought your contrasts were beautiful when you play the. Make sure that your timing is just right. The eighth note to 54, and then the eighth note to 80. You played it like it was 50 and 100, almost exactly one half. But it's actually kind of more like 2/3 of the tempo. So if you pick this tempo, andantino would be just a little faster, like. Let's try it one more time from adagietto. Karen, it doesn't have to be that fast. After this, that would be the relationship between 54 and 80 there, okay? Remember, adagietto is, that would be the 16th note. So for andantino, it would only be about a third faster, not, 50% faster, okay? One more time from here. Yeah, very good. That's perfect. Yeah. I think that when you do this, the movement will hold together even better than it does. As I said, I thought your contrasts were great and your playing is great. I think this one additional element will make it hold together like it's one piece, not a broken up series of events. Okay. In your allegro here, one idea that I could give you here, you play it very well, it's very hard, would be that you could be a little freer with the spirit of the thing, so that you kind of give a folksy feeling. It's a little bit. How about if you would try with a little bit of weighting, so that there's a little bit of a feeling of breathing in it. Maybe we could try it a little bit slower. It's a little hard for the audience to hear all those notes. That's why I'm suggesting this. There's so many notes in this transcription, and he wasn't a pianist first and foremost. He wrote very well for the piano, but it's a little bit cluttered. The notes are kind of close together, and in this particular passage, there's so much detail. Maybe we could try it one time and leave little breaks. So that we hear all of those notes. Let's try it a little slower. Better, yeah. Let's add one additional element, and I'm going to talk about this in relation to the Danse Russe in a minute. Because it's so cluttered, there's so many notes close together, let's balance the top one a little more. So we hear. subordinate, bring down a little bit the middle voice. Try that. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that is very different for the audience. We can follow the voices this way. The other way, it's brilliant, but it all sounds like one voice. This is clear. This is like different instruments playing the different parts. Yeah. I suggest in this passage that you show the full range of the piano, the different registers. Like I was saying, one of the problems in this transcription is it's written in the middle of the piano. There are many notes right in the middle of the piano all the time. This is a passage where it goes out a little more. Let's bring out the top more. Better, much better, yeah. Keep on counting exactly in the vivo stringendo section here when you have the so that the proportions are just the way he wrote it. Can we do vivo stringendo a little slower? Very good. Yeah, very good, Karen. Yeah, that's a hard passage. Make sure that you're counting the exact number of each one of these patterns, okay? Let's try it one more time from one more. Great. Okay, that was exactly right. And remember that what comes next is exactly in time. It's very hard to play it that fast, but you can give the idea a little bit. And make sure there's still 3 beats to that measure, right? 2, 3, and then only 2, 2, 2, 3. That's actually the time of it, right? It's a lot of fun to play this piece more free to just kind of show off. That's how most people do it. But it's also good to go back sometimes to exactly what he wrote there. Let's try one more time for here. did it better than me, really. It was great. Great. Yeah. And I think you can use both of your thumbs for the last note of the piece. It's kind of the climax of the movement. Can we try that più mosso risoluto, just the last measure there, and try using your left and your right thumb together on that F sharp. Right, very good. Let's do it one more time, completely in time. Walk. Perfect. Great. Great. Yeah. It's, you know, Karen, it seems like you know all of this. It's, you know, that you already did this work, but maybe when you play it, you kind of like to be a little freer, you know, and I understand that. I think it's fine, but I'm encouraging you to do both. Go back to the skeleton of it, the way he wrote it, like it's math, and then be a little freer when you're on the stage. I think that you can do both of those things. Okay, let's go to Danse Russe. You played it so well. I would encourage you to, I think you probably already do this, to practice it quite slowly and to balance all the chords to the tops and the bottoms, particularly the top. It's very hard to get a strong enough fifth finger for the opening of this piece, right? Because this, that's very loud. If you can find a way to bring out that top finger a little more, I think we're going to have a more appealing sound, a more beautiful balance there. Try it a little slower. Great, great, great. In the glissando, could you try to play all of the notes in that at a slower tempo? Just, you could actually, let's just do this. Right, and let's begin the glissando on the C a little sooner so we have more time. Then you won't feel like you have to skip the notes. You can actually play them all if you go right to it. Yeah, you almost got them there. Get to the C very fast. And then, and make sure that you play that. Pretend that the glissando actually goes to D before the E. That way you will not pick up your hand before you finish it. Because I heard this, but the top 6 notes or so were not coming out. So slow it down. Ah, Karen, that was, did you hear that? That last one was absolutely perfect. Okay, that's one of the rules of glissandos. There are actually, glissandos are a special technique. For instance, when you practice glissandos, you shouldn't really play them because you're going to hurt your fingers, right? You can, this part of the finger here will become raw. So it's good to play over the notes without depressing the notes. Try this. Instead of playing, just play the C and then silently all the way to D and then the E at the top. Let me see you do it silent. Yeah, right. Yeah. When you play lots of glissandos, which you will, remember that. Don't practice them because you'll hurt your fingers. Yeah. Okay. Same here. Tops and bottoms, mostly tops. Slowly, let's hear it. Right, yeah. Very good, yeah. This one is hard. I suggest that you... What fingering do you use in the 6 notes in the left hand?
So first D, 3.
Just play the left slow one time. Yes, I think that's a very good fingering. When you come to the thumb on D, stop a little bit and make it kind of an accent. It's more brilliant. Right. Do it with both hands. Good. Yes, Karen, that was perfect. That one was perfect. Yeah. So make sure you practice this passage. Okay, let's go on and keep on bringing out your tops. Very good. Yeah. Listen carefully to make sure that the notes are tonally even. The way I was talking about it with Shang in his in the Rachmaninoff prelude, it's the same principle here. You have to listen carefully to make up for the different intervals in the chords so that we hear the top line. Sometimes he writes octaves, sometimes he writes single notes, but you want to give the impression that you're playing the same volume the whole time, right? Because all of the notes are important for the melody. It's a fast melody, but they're all constructed so that they're equal. Let's do it slow from here. And try to bring out the top notes a little more portato. You know what I mean? That means a longer touch. Very good, Karen. Yeah, you'll fix the notes. I think you know all the notes there. It's just, I was going to ask you, how much time are you spending practicing this piece slowly? Are you practicing slow?
Some parts, yes, but I realized I didn't do for this section.
Yeah, so some parts you practice slow. I think this is a part that you really should practice slow. And I think that it gives a beautiful effect when you very even tonally for this whole section here. Yeah, I thought you did very well with this. But make sure you're balancing to the tune again. Let's try it one time slow. Take it at a slow tempo once. Yeah, right. And make sure, good, yeah. It's nice to hear. Can you just bring out the in the left hand a little bit more? Yeah, that was a great one. Yeah, yeah. It's balanced, right? Because gets lost very easily. Okay, this next passage is very hard for small hands. All of the left hand here. I would encourage you to play the 5 and then do a break and do the octave. So take a little break before you play that octave in the left. Let's just do the left hand. Yeah, right. And you know, life is short, but when you feel in the mood to do it, try to bring out all 5 of those notes a little more clear. It sounds a little like 4s. Let's hear. All 5. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, yeah. It's good practice for technique generally using this piece. Next part, let's try again. You play. Good. Very good. Very good. I would just encourage that you bring out the triplets a little more clear in the left, so we hear because that's a typical element of the piece, cross rhythms. You have those 30-second notes against the eighths. Jeffrey?
Yes.
Yes,
5 minutes.
the time is 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Karen, let's go back. Try the triplet a little clearer. Good. Yeah, much clearer, Karen. Yeah, and you can keep on working on the right there. Okay, let's try this section. Play the next section, the D minor. Yeah. Okay. What I would encourage there, you really have the fingers to do this part. Why don't you can show off those left hand fingers a little more and impress everybody with your left hand technique. You know, Stravinsky said that's why he did not play the piece. He didn't have enough technique in his left hand to play it. So let's bring out your beautiful left hand. With a little less pedal and kind of a crescendo, like little waves. Just left hand alone. I think you can do it. Right. Good, Karen. Now a little slower, both hands. Try both hands a little slower. Keep bringing out your left hand articulation. Yeah, very good, very good. In poco meno mosso, not too slow here. Right, it became a little bit like a slow movement there. So keep your direction there. You want to play from... Perfect. Yeah, that was just perfect, Karen, the proportions there. And yeah, make sure you go over the problem here is the left hand, right? And this part, the technique I was speaking about with Shang, I would advise, which is you get over that chord quickly before playing it. If you can see my hand here, I don't know if you're playing the G at the end or if you're just, you know, leaving it out. You don't really need it, but you need to get over this before you play it. Let's have left hand here. Very good, very good. Okay. Both hands. Yeah. When you did the hands together, you were not as careful to get over it first. Just watch my hands for a second. I'm getting over that left hand before I play it each time. But let's do it with the right so that you make yourself do that radar with both hands. Let's do it. Slow. Good, good, good. And make sure that you carefully count how many you're doing of this, right? I mean, it's exactly the same as what we talked about in the You just have to make yourself, sometimes you can even write in the music 3, 4, sometimes composers actually write that for you. Yeah. So just to sum up, I really think you play brilliantly. If you get back to the details of this piece like it's a mathematical formula, there will be a deeper performance of the piece, because actually it's not just a showpiece, it's a compositionally brilliant piece. And I think you can bring out that aspect of it along with your accomplished playing. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Mayer, and thank you, Karen, and thank you, Shang. Thank you for such an illuminating and enlightening masterclass, Stephen. This was really, really great. So great to have you here, even if it's thousands of miles away. At least we can create sonic mayhem and magic across all these thousands of miles. Great. Stephen, I'll catch up with you later. I have to run off to my next lesson. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you, Sheng, and thank you, Karen. Both of you also. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have a very small, intimate group watching here. We also have some more on YouTube. Sorry, on YouTube Live. Let me get rid of that. I'm not going to answer a call that says spam risk on it. Thank you so much once again, Professor Mayer, Karen, and Sheng. Stay safe and well and fulfilled. Karen and Sheng, I'll see you soon. Stephen, I'll see you in the ether, and immense gratitude again. And I'll be in touch very soon.
Yes, my pleasure.